Welcome to the Coda podcast. I'm Rue from Rue Films, and today we're pulling back the curtain on a landmark moment for wedding filmmaking, the British Wedding Film Festival. Founded by Jeff Wood, Joce Boissin and Pete and Laura Lawson, the British Wedding Film Festival is the first awards platform in the UK dedicated solely to wedding filmmaking. It has been created to celebrate the artistry, creativity and passion of filmmakers in the UK and around the world. Though called a festival, at its core it's an awards platform culminating in an Oscars-inspired presentation evening, designed to champion the craft and push the boundaries of what wedding films can be. In this episode, Josh joins me for an in-depth look behind the scenes, the vision, the categories, the judging process, and exactly what it takes to stand out. Good evening, Josh. Welcome to the podcast. It's so good to have you on.
Thank you so much, mate, for having me. Really appreciate it.
I feel like we've been hanging out quite a lot recently, haven't we, with various kind of filmmaker gatherings. And the last time I saw you was it was at the summit, and we were out on the streets of Glasgow after downing some Venoms, which we'd only just recently discovered.
I didn't think you'd mention the Venom, but here we are. Yeah. I feel like this is going to bring back some PTSD for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather remember the amazing event that Joce and Danny put together, than Venom. Yeah. Although it's a memory.
It's a memory, or forgotten memories in some people's case. Right. But it's great to get to chat with you again. But mate, we are talking shop tonight, as we always do. That's our thing, isn't it? Because this year, very recently, we've seen the launch of the British Wedding Film Festival, which you are obviously one of the co-founders of. Let's break down exactly what it is, though, because surely everyone's heard about it by now, but I want this to be the definitive guide for the British Wedding Film Festival. So tell me what it is in the simplest terms, Joss.
So it's the UK's first and only wedding film awards, solely dedicated to wedding films. There are 20 categories, of which 15 are what we call open categories. So you can actually submit a film to any of those categories. And then there are 5 that are nominated. So they're judge selected or judge nominated, either from the entries, or judges can also decide to actually put someone forward and basically put their names into the hat. It is an Oscars inspired film festival. So a huge inspiration for the British Wedding Film Festival was film culture. That's reflected in the branding, which is Art Deco, the origin of cinema kind of inspired, the gold and black. The actual event itself will be Oscars inspired, both in terms of the trophies. We want something that looks and feels sexy. We want to produce something that people want to be a part of, an award that you want to win. But more importantly, there is this idea of elevating the craft. We wanted to create a award and festival that pushes people to do better and to feel inspired in the same way that we've got conferences where people share their knowledge and experiences. This is about watching and learning from the best and the work that's being shown to people. So it is a festival as well as an awards, because on the night of the awards, we'll be screening some of the winning films as well. So it is inspired by a festival in that way, in the sense of like actually featuring some of the films so that everyone can watch them.
Amazing. So an awards that people enter, and it accumulates in an awards night, a really glam awards night where we can celebrate each other and the work that we do. And the lucky winners get to go up on stage and get a trophy, a massive, heavy trophy, I'm hoping here, Josh.
If you want to do some kind of like acceptance speech, you can, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
That's not in the rules, but
will people do that?
Well, if they feel like it. We're not gonna force people to do it, but absolutely, if that's what they feel like doing, then yeah.
Well, okay, cool. We are going Oscars vibes.
We are going. We're going red carpet. Cocktail attire, that kind of thing.
I just love the idea of Oscars kind of evening. Forget about even winning awards or whatever. Just turning up, all glammed up and getting together. I just love that idea. There's a lot I want to go into though, because I'm just thinking about the kind of categories and how this whole awards play out. So let's get into the kind of entry process. So am I right in thinking, is it the 1st of May that the submissions open?
That's right. So submissions open from the 1st of May, at which point on the website, you'll essentially be able to see a whole set of categories and pages created for you to submit a film. The submission process is super simple. You essentially just have to submit a link to a film. So an entry is a film. So we want it to be, it might make it a lot harder for the judges to review, but we'll work that out later. We wanted the entry process to be as simple as it can be. So it is as simple as like shopping online for something you like. So you'll have all the categories. If you want to submit a film for Best UK Wedding Film, you'll go on that. There's a short form for you to essentially put your business details for us to be able to contact you, a link to your film, then a £30 entry fee for the actual film to be submitted, and that's it.
Right, okay. Yeah, so it's £30 an entry, but per film, per category, right? So there's multiple categories. If you want to submit one film to multiple categories, it's going to be £30 per entry.
That's right. So you can still, the idea is you can submit any film across any category. You can submit multiple films into multiple categories. It is something that we want people to feel like they can own. And for a lot of people, they'll feel a lot stronger about their use of sound, colors, storytelling, you name it. So for some of those people, they might hone in on a particular category and submit multiple films into the same category. For others, they might actually want to spread their bets and just kind of submit different films in different categories or the same category. So it's very much, you can, there's no like strategy behind it in terms of like what we want people to do. It is genuinely about making it simple for people to apply and for them to apply in a category that they feel aligns best with their skill set or where their strongest skill set is.
What are the limitations in terms of submission?
There's not a lot of rules. They are very straightforward rules. One of which is the film needs to be accessible. Like if you give us a password protected video, we can't watch it. Something as simple as that. But yes, there is a time limit, which is set at 7 minutes for your entries. There's loads of reasons why we've done it this way. The other one, because I feel I do need to address the elephant in the room, which is that we do want to respect everyone's time. And that's both the judge's time in reviewing, like the reviewing process, but actually it is also the audience's time on the night of the festival. The way we've constructed this awards is that films will be screened at the festival. So watching 10 films of, 10 plus minutes, 15 minutes, is not something that we feel captivates people and kind of keeps you engaged. So because the awards is designed around a festival experience, we kind of had to also align the limitations of what we wanted people to submit with that.
Yeah.
So it is better for screenings, really. The other thing is that because we can have shorter films, 7 minutes, I guess, is for some people is long, but for others is short. The 7 minute means that we can have more films screened at the festival. So it does allow us actually to feature more voices, more creative voices on the night. So rather than longer films, but less of them on the night, we would much rather show a wider selection of entries and winners to people. And really it's the idea of like curation. I think curating, the way we look at a wedding film, and that's the philosophy that we as founders have, is that we're not necessarily documenting every single detail of the day. It's about how you interpret a moment and how you interpret a day, and how can you, through your lens in that time limit, tell us a story that feels captivating, Yeah. So it is really it's curation, and it is quality over length in this particular case. So that's the time limit that we've set.
But it makes sense though. Well, obviously I judge TWIA, and my advice to people when submitting to TWIA is like, put your shorter films in, because on a wedding day, we're filming for one day, right? Let's say, 8 hours, like 8 to 12 hours, something like that. That story can be told within 7 minutes, captivatingly. Anything over that, I swear, it's just filler. And I get it for our couples. I totally get like feature films for our couples that have so much a day in there, because they're going to want as much content as possible, aren't they? But when it comes to the art of filmmaking and creating a captivating edit, those films need to be around 5 minutes for me.
You're right. And the other thing to this is like, I suppose like, for lack of a better word, perhaps like fairness for all filmmakers, because we wanted to set a time limit because it means that each entry gets the same chance to shine and to be watched by the judges. Yeah. There's no one film dominating another, because if a film is like 15 minutes, that does take a lot of time to watch, both for the judges, for the audience. Focus time, review time, scoring, aligning that with a set limit at 7 minutes means that actually everyone gets the same chance to submit a film that fits within that time limit, and that gets the exact same review process and same attention span, same focus and love from the judges and from the watchers, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go into the judging process though, because this does kind of interest me. Because before I was a judge at TWIA, I was expecting kind of the judging process to be everyone, like 12 Angry Men, like all people around a table arguing the case for a film. Which ended up being this whole remote thing. It's completely different. But I want to go into how your judging process is. But let's start off with the judges themselves. Like, how were your judges selected?
That was one of the things that I brought to the table is the wrong way of phrasing it. But that's one of the things I actually felt the strongest about, alongside the branding, about the awards. I wanted the judges to be the face of the festival, which puts a lot on everyone's shoulders, myself included, because I'm also a judge. It puts a lot of pressure on us because you've judged TWIA. I haven't judged TWIA, but I can only imagine the pressure you feel or how you make people feel upset and perhaps what reaction you get from them. So I know that it puts them in the spotlight, but equally for the festival to have this credibility, it had to be judged, and the face of the panel had to be from people that are respected in the industry. The second thing is the inspiration for the festival naturally is wedding films, but it is the film culture. So we wanted the judging panel to represent not just the wedding industry, but the wider film and creative sector. So naturally, like the majority of the judges are wedding filmmakers, but on the panel, we have 2 TV and film producers. So these guys have nothing to do with wedding film. So there's a variety of like philosophy, and the final point is like there's a geographical kind of element to it. So we've got judges that are not just UK based. So it was all about bringing different perspectives, different background, different philosophy around like what a wedding film and a film in general should and could be like. So our judges, naturally, you've got the co-founders in there. So I'm one of the judges alongside Jeff Wood, Laura and Pete Lawson. And then we've got Toby from Handcraft Pictures, amazing cinematographer. Leanne, who also judges TWIA, and she's an amazing filmmaker. I mean, everyone needs to watch their film. Philip White needs no introduction. We've got Badal Jain, who's an amazing filmmaker based in India. So together with his partner, they've created this amazing business in India. People need to watch their films as well. I think we are very, we blink an eye. We just look at UK weddings, but everyone needs to have a look at like what's been on out there. It's amazing. The weddings are mega. And we've got two TV and film producers, Greg Wilson, David Tanner. Greg Wilson produced James Bond. I mean,
say no more.
Say no more.
And here's my wedding from Shustoke Barn. Watch it.
That's right. So no pressure. But it does bring me to another point, which I discussed with quite a lot of people recently. They find it quite intimidating, and I get it. It is a bit daunting, like to have your work watched by amazing wedding filmmakers and industry professionals like a James Bond producer. Don't get me wrong, I totally get it. It feels really intimidating. But the idea of it is actually we want people to feel inspired and to want to push themselves. And the best way to do it is to lay it all there and just see what happens. And I get it's scary. I do. If I wasn't on the panel and I had to submit a film, I'd feel scared. But I totally want to do it as well, because that's the only way to get better. Yeah, challenge
ourselves as well. And I like to see this as a competition with yourself. This is how I've always approached awards. I've always approached them as a competition with myself. And I don't get down on, when I've lost. I haven't don't mind at all, because it's just, I just like being at those events when we're all together. But it's just a competition with yourself to try and improve each year. And just that thing in the back of the mind, like this little goal. Obviously, the biggest goal in our life is just to create great work for our couples. But it is so easy to slip into routine, into almost templated approach. So having this extra little bit of inspiration and a little bit of motivation to drive towards is only going to help, isn't it? And just help create great work.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the way I feel about it. And that's how we want everyone to feel about it. You know, I was on a... we were at the very beginning of the podcast. We talked about the summit, which I was at. I was a speaker at it, and my very last slide was about everyone has a voice, and your voice matters. That's very much what this is about. Yeah. We don't want a voice to feel, you know, louder than another. That the point of this award is, and the festival is, to actually highlight all of these voices. But again, equally, I get it's intimidating, because the panel perhaps is a bit intimidating, but it had to look and feel like it's elevated and it's premium, and it is an award that's for wedding filmmakers to push themselves.
Yeah, and it has to be an intimidating judging panel. It has to be well-respected filmmakers, because this is for us. This is for filmmakers. Yeah. It's an awards about filmmaking, so it has to be people that get it and get what we do.
Yeah.
So how does the actual judging process take place? Are you all together in a room like I was hoping that's where it would be? Is it remotely? And is there kind of like a standardized scoring system? How are people going to judge these films?
Yes. So there's two elements to it. It's a 2 or even 3-way process. So the very first, once submissions close on the 1st of December, so we just to finish that point actually about submissions, open 1st of May, and people have got a whole wedding season to submit a film, because it closes on the 1st of December. So when the submission process ends, all the judges will review every single film in their own time.
So all judges, every film?
Correct. There isn't a judge assigned to a category. It's like all judges to all categories. So every single one of us will watch every single one of the entries. There is a scoring system, which we're trying to make as transparent as we can. It's on the website. Scale of 1 to 10. The idea of it is that we don't want to be judging film submitted for best sound design in the same way that we want to judge a film for best color grading. That would not make sense, right? So the scoring scale, is designed in a way that allows us to say for each of the different categories, the scoring aligns because it's 1 to 10, naturally, 10 being exceptional. But you will look for different things. And so once we've done that, it allows us to have a scoring count essentially for all of the films that we can aggregate. And then there will be a group discussion to review the top 10 or 15 entries, or the highest scoring entries, I shall say, for each of the categories before nominees are selected, and finally the actual winner of that category. So there's both like independent times, and that's fair because judges review that in their own time, on their own, with the scoring scale. So we are not influenced, or we're not having group discussion at this stage. It's your own feeling towards a film, and then it is discussed with the wider group after that.
So you're saying with the categories, say for example, sound design, they're basically getting a score out of 10 for sound, and then you got the category for best use of color, they're getting a score out of 10 for color. But then you have got a category which is best UK wedding film, and for me, a wedding film, there's going to be multiple categories that it needs to be scored upon to properly score a film, to judge a film. Is that what takes place in that kind of category where it's a whole film being judged rather than just a single category, a single aspect of filmmaking?
Correct, that's right. We're essentially aggregating the different kind of factors that would go into, the scoring system. That's right. Same for best destination, but it'd have to be a wedding shot outside of the UK. You're right, same process. Where in the best sound design, best use of music, we would look for specific elements. The best UK is more like an all-rounder kind of, film.
Yeah.
And how well does it incorporate all those different elements?
It's going to be a hell of a lot of work for the judges going through this. I mean, I bet at this point we have no idea how many submissions are going to be put in. But the fact that people can put in multiple films as well, there could be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Are the judges paid for this?
They're not. No one's being paid for this. And all of the no one's being paid for this. The money. We asked for an entry fee. both in terms of the actual like submitting a film, but then naturally the actual event itself. That money is just about putting together an amazing experience for people. It is not about generating money for ourselves.
So everything's getting put back into the event itself to make an experience.
Correct. So we've got a number of decisions that we've kind of, I don't want to use an American term, but we've kind of parked some decisions with Pete, Jeff, and Laura, because we just ultimately, it's a first. No one's actually done it. We certainly haven't. We don't know how well it's going to do. If it does do well, and we hope it does, we can then start those conversations again around, we've got some awards that as in trophies that we're looking at, which are quite pricey, but that's what we want. But, so it's what I mean. Same for the actual entertainment on the night. Loads of things like this, which are just designed for ultimately a better experience for people submitting and attending the festival. So a lot of conversations have been had, but decisions not made because we're waiting on, confirmation that people are into it and that they are submitting films. And so actually, that would be an amazing problem to have too many films, because it also means that actually we can reinvest that money into creating something amazing for the festival.
Yeah. And that's the thing with events like this, and it was similar to when I put on Coda. Like, you have no idea what the uptake is going to be, so it's like you're taking a big risk initially, because you have to have things in place, don't you? You have to have the venue booked, you have to outlay money in the first instance. So yeah, it's a case. I like that idea that you're going to gauge your uptake on it, and based on the uptake is the levels that you're going to be able to reach in terms of the output for it.
We've had a number of conversations with Jeff and Pete and with Laura about these are the must-have for us to actually create an award that we are all proud of. There's the nice to have, there's the could have, there's almost like a tiered approach to what we feel this award could be like. And that's not to incite people to spend more money so that then we've got a better experience. But I'm saying it is hopefully going to snowball into that. That's the way we look at it. We want people to feel like they also own the event just as much as we can organize it ourselves. So as of right now, we know what the event should look like and will look like, but the ambition is that we can only go up from here and create an even better experience than the one we've got in mind already.
What are your must-haves then? What were in your list of must-haves?
I'll start with a sexy AF trophy.
Oh, yes. Thank God. That's the thing, isn't it? Something that you want to have on your shelves, right?
Yeah. We want the winners to feel proud to have that on their shelf and for it to be recognizable, right? If you look at an Oscars, instantly what it's like. I'm selling it now, by the way. People might look at it if we decide they're like, what? But hey, that, we like what we've got.
Pressure's on, mate. Pressure's on.
Yeah, that's right. So amazing awards, entertainment on the night. So, the event will be at the Manchester Art Gallery. So the venue itself, we feel, is very, it's cultural, it's art, it kind of aligns with the values of the festival. But there's a lot we can do with the dressing of the event, the entertainment on the night. And as I said, ultimately, it is the experience that people have on the night. It is not just an award. There's an element of networking and you have a good night out, something that you remember, that you want to be a part of.
Yeah. A celebration,
but sexy trophies.
Yeah. Yeah. Because let's be honest, right? We were all a little disappointed when we won our first regionals at Tuia and we went and picked up that trophy. I had in my head, I was like, no, where's the other one?
Where's the rest?
Yeah. Turns out that was the national award. But
we've actually we looked at a couple with the team, and one of them is super heavy and hefty. It's kind of like, it's a murder weapon. That's how Pete describes it.
That's what we want.
Which is a good, in a good way. Not that you want to murder people with it. It's just that, it feels proper.
Murder the competition.
That's right. But no, I think, without overselling it, without sounding too blue sky thinking, we just want the award to kind of align with the brand that we have, the look and feel that we have, and just with the idea that it's it does feel premium and you want to win it,
Yeah.
It's not an afterthought, put it this way.
And going back into the judging process of it, I know I fly off with my thoughts, but going back to the judging process, and you said there's going to be a scoring system. Are the entrants going to get to see those scores?
No, they're not. So there's not going to be like feedback sessions with people. They're not going to get to see their scores. That's not the way we're going to do it. Just because that's just not the way we've wanted to do it. We'd much rather show people this is why this film is the winner, hence the festival. So we are screening the winner's film, and that should be testament enough to how thorough we've been with the process. We don't want to, because the idea of introducing a score helps us judging, but we don't think it helps people understanding why they've been scored a certain way. So the moment you start introducing feedback to people, they'll want to actually understand why they've got a score, what they can do better, which, don't get me wrong, I would like to know it, but it's not actually viable to do that for hopefully a large number of entries that we would get. It's not the best use of the judges' time and the co-founders organizing the event. We'd much rather focus on ensuring the judging process is thorough and the judges are credible. So I think we want and hope people believe in this. And we want people to believe in the winners because they've watched their films live at the event, but they're not getting their scores. They're not getting a feedback session after the fact. That just wouldn't be, something that we can do for all filmmakers.
And is it literally just they're being judged on the film that's submitted? Is anything else been taken into consideration? Like I know with Tuya, it's obviously I know you're not doing like a whole client feedback session or client voting thing, but do you kind of look at their website, their socials? Is any of that taken into consideration, or is it just the film in isolation?
So for the open categories, which are the ones where you submit a film, so, for argument's sake, best UK wedding film, it is based on the film. But there are 5 categories in there, which are best British filmmaker of the year, destination filmmaker of the year, breakthrough filmmaker of the year, educator, and judge's choice. Yes, these are judged on the film that people have submitted, but also a wider, I suppose, number of elements that we might look into to decide this filmmaker is the creme de la creme of British filmmaking, and it is based on their film, but also on the wider body of work that they haven't perhaps submitted to the festival, but that we're aware of. We've seen on their website, on their social, and whatever. So it's still not a couple's vote. It is still very much based on merit, because ultimately the film is still what would help them be considered for that recognition. But if there is a tiebreaker, if there are elements where it's really close, then yes, we would look at these things to kind of decide based on overall body of work, this person is more deserving perhaps than someone else.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, and it's the British Wedding Film Festival. Is it only British people that can enter, or can people outside of like the UK and Britain enter?
It's the latter. So everyone, it's UK and, we like to say UK and beyond. It is global filmmakers. So it's unlikely to happen, but in principle, I don't know, an Italian filmmaker could submit a film for best UK wedding film if that film was shot in the UK, but they would not be eligible for British filmmaker of the year because they're not British. Does that make sense? So anyone can submit a film to any of those open categories. That's the beauty of it. Where you are located in the world doesn't matter, in the same way that the award is not regional, it's not just national, it is international.
Yeah. And there is a growing trend now of kind of like, I see it's probably more in photography, but in like photography awards, I see people making submissions from things that are clearly styled shoots. And that happens in filmmaking as well. There's a growing trend of like styled shoots. Could someone submit a film from a styled shoot?
They can, but it's unlikely to win. We're looking for real stuff.
Yeah.
The way the categories are designed is that it's real weddings that we're after. It's not a styled shoot. It's not something that's been engineered to look really good. Actually, the beauty of what we're doing is we're all capturing a live event. We're not planning. So everything's scored and designed on that basis. So I'm not saying you can't, it's not part of the rules, like you can't submit a style shoot, but I wouldn't put it that way. That's not what we're looking for. That's like almost like a tip I'm giving to people. That is not what we're looking for. We're looking for real, authentic stuff,
Because anyone can make something look good on a styled shoot, right, in completely controlled environment. But it's a real wedding where true filmmakers have to shine, isn't it?
Yeah.
And let's go into the categories, because I have questions about a few. Some of them make complete sense to me. Some of them are totally like, I want to dive in a bit deeper. But first of all, what is so cool about this is when you look at filmmaking in terms of wedding filmmaking, us as wedding suppliers, I think it's such a unique thing that we do, because filmmaking in general, on a production, you have so many people taking on so many different roles. As wedding filmmakers, we are doing all of those roles, and we have to excel at all of them to be able to create great films. But naturally, some filmmakers are better in certain areas, aren't they? And that's what's so cool about these awards, is that you're celebrating that fact. Whereas like with TWIR, for example, it's kind of more of an overall thing. But you often see a certain style of filmmaker seems to win. Whereas some people that I see that are amazing at certain things, but don't seem to get a look in with awards, because as an overall average, maybe their work isn't what's considered like the kind of, popular at the moment, if that makes sense. But with these awards, we're going to get into the nitty gritty, aren't we? There's going to be plenty of chance for people with different styles to shine and excel. Let's start off with, because so the first is is there five awards that are chosen by the judges out of submissions separately. Is that right? So first of all, we've got the British Filmmaker of the Year. How is that selected? Is that literally just from people that have entered?
So yes, but also, when we talked about the judges, I was telling you, like, I wanted the judges to feel like they can really own this, and they're the face of the festival. One of the elements that it's almost like the judges have a superpower. They can naturally select someone from the entries. If you submitted a film, you're automatically considered. If you're a British filmmaker, that is, obviously. But also, the judges can put someone else's name into the hat. So they can nominate someone who hasn't submitted a film, because they might admire their work, they might think they're amazing, but that person hasn't submitted a film. So we are looking for it to be like, to look at the wider spectrum of filmmaking. It won't just be for people that have submitted, but if you have submitted, you are automatically considered for that recognition.
Right. But so if there's a person, for example, and I think they want to put them in, do they approach? How does that work? Do they get approached by the judge, and the judge says, "I want you to put you in here"?
Correct, and you would in that case have to submit a film, because we still kind of then need and want to go through that process, because if I was to put forward a filmmaker that no one has ever heard of, for me to do that filmmaker justice, I need to put their work in front of the judges. So we would ask for that person to submit a film and enter a film into the into any of the categories, but then they would be considered as British Filmmaker of the Year. So
they would have to pay their 30 quid basically to be considered. They can't just like be randomly chucked in by a judge without submitting. Yeah. And this is going back a little bit. So obviously the idea is not to make profit, but how come then there's a fee to submit a film?
Well, it's what I was saying when we talked about the festival experience, really. It is because ultimately we are planning an event. If there was no event, then actually the fee would perhaps just be a lot lower, because it would just be for a website hosting and what. But in this particular case, actually the money we are hoping to generate is to be reinvested into the festival experience. So ultimately, the entry fee is for that very reason. It is all about planning an event.
That's one of those things I always see pop up about Twitter, where people are like saying, how can there be an awards where you have to pay to play? But I think with everything, there's going to be costs. Any kind of organization, especially to decent levels, there's going to be costs involved. That's why there has to be a submission fee. And also, if you didn't have like a fee on there, my God, how many films would you have to
get a lot more entries? Yeah, we want people to submit their best work. So it is like, if you forget about the amount, like specifically the £30, and just think about any amount, we just wanted we wanted people to feel like they can only submit their best work. Like the idea is not to submit 25 films. That's not reasonable for anyone, I feel. The idea is that you might be like, I've shot 25, 30 weddings this year. I reckon, like, if I'm being completely honest and brutal with myself, 3 of those films maybe are like award worthy, and that they're the ones you want to submit. You don't want to submit all of them just because you like them. I think it is about being super self-critical and looking at your work and be like, which one is award worthy? This is the one I'm going to submit. And that price point and the entry fee is designed in that way as well. It's just to make people think, well, I can't just go wild here and submit everything. I just need to be selective and be, brutal with myself and honest with myself.
Yeah. It makes total sense to me. It's one of those questions I know people are going to want answering.
Oh yeah,
Everything costs, and if you made it completely free for everybody, it'd just be absolute chaos. And you want this to be the creme de la creme, don't you? You want this to be, you want people to be backing themselves and backing their work, and that kind of financial commitment kind of like reinforces that.
Absolutely.
International Filmmaker of the Year, is that similar process, but as the British Filmmaker of the Year, but just from the rest of the world?
Exactly right. Yeah. Not much to say on that one. It's the exact same process, but for a filmmaker that's not based in the UK.
Because that's fascinating, because there's so much talent out there. You get me knocking on Sharon Calafiore's door. Give us 30 quid, mate.
No, but I think we also have to, as UK-based or British filmmakers, I'm not British, but I'm UK-based, we have to back ourselves. Like, the quality of the work in the UK wedding industry is so good. And actually, perhaps that would serve as a mirror and a magnifying glass into, this is how good we are compared to international filmmakers. Don't get me wrong, there are amazing international filmmakers, but we also know and think that there are amazing British talent, and this is just about showcasing that,
Yeah. Breakthrough. Okay, so this is Breakthrough Filmmaker of the Year. This is another one which is selected by judges rather than that you enter. Why there must be a date range on that then, right? Is that how it works? If you're a breakthrough, that to me that means you're quite new to the business. Is that how that plays out in terms of an award?
Yes, really, yes. It is like, the idea is a bit like the newcomer. It is a bit like, you're the best new filmmaker in town. Like, you've just arrived recently, but you're here to stay. So the date range is something we're discussing, but I think we're looking at probably between 2 to 3 years max. Because we want people to feel like the work is of quality. And if it was in the last 12 months, I don't think that people would have found their creative voice. That's my personal opinion. So giving it a bit longer means that actually people are feeling a little more assertive, and they are feeling a little more confident in the work that they can produce and the work that they'll submit.
Yeah. Yep, makes total sense, that one. And I love that award. Like, I do like that at TWIA as well, when it's kind of newcomer, because it's great to celebrate those people that have only just started but are just doing great stuff. Because there are people out there at the minute that I can think of. I don't want to list their names because I don't want to put pressure. But there's certain filmmakers that I know in my head right now. I'm thinking, God, they'd be up for a great shout, like for breakthrough. And there's such a sea of talent right now, and it's rising. So now's a great point, and that's why these awards have come, because it's time for them. It's needed. Educator of the Year. So what's that? Is that kind of like people that do workshops and kind of educational content, I assume?
That's right, educational. So that could be conferences, workshops, podcasts. Wink, wink. No, no. It is all about a filmmaker having a voice in the educational space, whichever platform is being used. For some people, they do a lot of mentoring. They do one-on-one mentoring programs. That would be considered education, right? So that person could be considered for Educator of the Year. It is about inspiring the next generation of wedding filmmakers and building a community. There's a whole element here which is not actually, clearly this is not based on film. You're not submitting a film for that category because you're nominated by the judges. This is about the body of work, which is more around inspiring people, creating a sense of community, and educating, whichever platform, whether that's physical or online, or just your voice through a podcast. It is just about creating a platform that allows people to follow what you're doing and learn from it.
And is that just British, or is that like international?
I'll be honest, we haven't fully decided that. I would imagine it's probably British. But I'll be honest, we haven't fully decided that.
Yeah.
That's,
And
that's,
then that work in progress. And I guess that's a lot with this. This is the first time it's happening. There's going to be, you've put out these categories, what you think is the best fit, but then the kind of like the uptake is going to, as soon as the entries start flowing in, you're going to have a good idea, aren't you? And then there might be, as years go on, things get tweaked and kind of improved, and ironed out.
Totally.
But,
which is why, all the stuff we've discussed on the call, we've already covered quite a lot around like time limit and judging process and submission process, all of these things, which are, as of right now, the way we wanted to design the awards as a collective. But in 12 months' time, if hopefully this is successful and we go for year 2, then perhaps there would be different categories. There would be absolutely, like, none of what we're doing now means that it'll be the exact same year in the exact same thing in a year or 2. It is just the way we feel about creating an award right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Judge's Choice. So is Judge's Choice the last of the judges nominated categories?
Correct. So this is from all of the entries. So I know that one of the questions that people will have then is, does that mean that this is selected from one of the film entries? Yes. Does that mean that actually if you win the Judge's Choice Award, you must have won another category? Probably, but that's also not a definite. The Judge's Choice Award is the film that stole the judge's heart. It's the one that they love the most, and it's irrespective of any category. It could be from best cinematography, best sound design, but you name it. It is just about, as a judging panel and a collective, this is the film that we love the most.
So, because this is one that I was quite confused with. I was like, what's the difference between the Judge's Choice and then Filmmaker of the Year? Because surely aren't they going to be the same thing?
No, because Filmmaker is about a person. The Judge's Choice is a film.
Right, okay. Just a specific film.
You might be Filmmaker of the Year, but you might not have won the Judge's Choice Award, which is specifically about a wedding film.
But isn't it very likely that Best UK Wedding Film is also going to win Judge's Choice?
Why wouldn't it be Best Cinematography or Best Storytelling?
Because I would think to be Judge's Choice, you'd want to be hitting more than one category. You'd be wanting to get multiple categories, whereas UK Wedding Film is the one category that is touching many disciplines. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. But that's not the way we look at it. It is like, it doesn't matter what category it's being entered into. It's just about the one that we feel is the most memorable. Or it's just the one you've got the best emotional connection to. Yeah, that's the one.
I guess this goes to a further question that I've got. I think looking at these categories, there's a very good chance that like one person could end up winning a lot of the categories. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a possibility, definitely. Like, obviously, it's hard to tell now, but yeah, I'd imagine yes. Like, I would imagine that the winner of the Judge's Choice, which is like film-based, would also perhaps have won a different category, so they would go home with 2. But that doesn't mean that they are also best, like, British Filmmaker of the Year. It could just be something, we might be looking at something different. But yes, I would imagine that some people might take home a couple of awards, which is the beauty of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Oasis at that Brit Awards that year when they come and swept them all up.
Yeah.
Is that too much of an English reference?
No. I was like, where is he going with this? But Oasis, Manchester, I get it. I see what you did there.
But yeah, because for me, right, so British UK Wedding Film, I reckon that would win Judge's Choice as well, and then I reckon it's definitely going to get like one of the categories, like you'd expect it to be the best in one of the categories, like cinematography, for example, for it to be one of the best films. So I'd imagine someone's at least going to pick 3. Do you agree with that or no?
I as of right now, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I think you I can see why you'd think that. But I can't, and it's not like me trying to be like, I won't tell you. It's like, I genuinely do not know.
Yeah.
It could be
but
that
you're
we
not
feel so
concerned
strongly
about
film.
someone winning. You're not concerned about someone winning multiple ones. It's not like there'd be a case of,
if that's your question, no, not at all.
Yeah.
If that person has like submitted an amazing film and that film is worthy based on our scoring process and the discussions, then no, like we're not going to think, well, they've already won this one. They shouldn't, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was getting at, kind of. Like, what I was thinking possibly is, would the judging be kind of like changed because you think, oh no, we can't have this person winning 3 awards, like it needs to be spread out a bit more evenly. But at the core of this, I feel from chatting to you and from chatting to you previously as well, it's about celebrating the best of the best, and you want the best of the best to be showed, and that if that means someone taking 3 awards, that's going to be the way, right? But and I mean, think again, surely it's going to happen.
We talk about the Oscars. We're also not pretending to be the Oscars. Like, we don't have the credibility of the Oscars, but the inspiration is the Oscars. Films take 10 best directors, best picture, you name it. Like, no one actually thinks, well, why? Like, if the beauty of it, again, I'll go back to this. It's a festival. We will be showing the film, and we are hoping that by doing this, people watching a 5-minute or 7-minute wedding film will realize, I can see why this film deserves it. And hopefully they'll also think, that'll be me next year. I'm going to push myself to get to that stage next year. You know, that's the ambition. That's definitely where we want to.
How are they getting it shown? Because this thought has only just come into my head. So sorry to blindside you with it.
Yeah.
What's the kind of AV setup going to be? Because imagine if you've got a crappy projector and the sound's not great, and then you've got the person that's one best sound design and the sound is awful. Imagine this must be one of your must-haves in terms of good quality.
Yeah. LED panels.
Yeah. And what about sound?
There's a whole AV setup, bro.
Yeah.
Which, as of right now, has not been paid for, but will be. No, I'm joking. What would you like to know about the sound?
What is it like? Is it like it's a round sound?
One of the things is the venue. You know, it's funny because we were talking about the venue. We didn't want the venue to be like. It would have been easy for it to be a cinema.
Yeah.
But it's been done before.
True.
No, even just, that's right. We just want it to feel aligned with like a different part of the film culture, which is like this art and culture. You know, as far as like viewing experience, I'm not even going to pretend to say that it will be as good as watching it in cinema. That would be lying. But it's also not just about that. It is about watching it with your peers and, you know, and that whole networking and everything. But yes, don't get me wrong. We are also fully aware that the AV setup will need to be and will be on point, because that is also what we're planning. So yeah.
Yeah. I reckon, right, whoever wins British Filmmaker of the Year has to also show their first ever wedding film. And we all get to jeer and shout.
What if their winning film is their first ever film, and you're like, you get out?
Oh man, yeah. Nah, they just get chucked out instantly.
Yeah, that's right.
So going back, I mean, I haven't got far into these. So best destination wedding film. I mean, this kind of makes sense. It's the wedding film and what counts as a destination, right? Because
so on the
outside the UK.
Correct. We've got all the eligibility for each of the categories. This is just considered outside of the UK. Yeah.
But you have, you're a UK filmmaker shooting outside of the UK.
Film. Yeah. You can submit if you shot in France, Italy, Portugal, whatever. Yes, that is considered a destination wedding film. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just needs to have been shot outside of the UK.
Best elopement film makes complete sense. An elopement, right? Absolutely. Best cultural wedding film. Can you?
So this is about
expand on that?
That could be UK or that could be destination. Like, the location doesn't really matter. What the judges would be looking for is, how do you bring to life the cultural element of this couple? It could be mixed race, mixed heritage, mixed, whatever, fusion weddings. It is about how well do you incorporate the theme and the story of that couple centered around their cultural heritage.
Right. Yeah, that makes
sense.
So
again, like, location in this particular case doesn't matter. That could be UK or not. It doesn't matter. And that can be submitted by a UK or international filmmaker. Does not matter. It is just about bringing to life the cultural heritage of the couple in your film.
If you are still delivering your wedding films on a USB or struggling to find a sleek, professional way to showcase your work, it's time to upgrade your delivery experience with VidFlow, the ultimate online gallery for wedding filmmakers. With VidFlow, your couples can watch their wedding films in stunning quality on any device, including their TV, making it easier than ever for them to relive their best day with family and friends. Plus, with custom branding, easy downloads and cloud backup, you get a premium, hassle-free delivery solution that makes you look as professional as your films deserve. I've been using VidFlow for the last year and my couples have been amazed by its slick interface, especially on their TV. It's like having their very own Netflix of their wedding films. You only pay for what you need, and each of my 4K galleries only cost me about £15, and they stay online for 10 years, so it's a complete no-brainer. Join thousands of filmmakers who have already made the switch, and try VidFlow for free by using the link in the description. Take your film delivery to the next level. Now let's get back to the episode. So the next category, and this is the one that, this confused me, so I'm hoping that you can shed some light on it, and it's best documentary style film. Now, my initial thoughts on this was going to be like a doc edit where we throw all our raw footage onto a timeline, but it's not that, is it? What is this category?
No, it's not that, because it's still limited to 7 minutes. So
yeah,
in the description, we also say not to be confused with a, because some people might call it a feature length film, a documentary. It's not
FOMO edit, a doc edit. It's not that.
Yeah. It's not that. It's still a wedding film that is within the 7 minute time limit, but it is about what we're looking for is the best execution of documentary element filmmaking within the film. So all of the critical moments that naturally happen is how authentically you can capture them into your wedding film. Right.
Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. Because I was thinking, is it then a wedding film that's a documentary? And I know there's there's filmmakers out there, and Alex from Molehill, for example, who I interviewed recently, I'd consider his films documentaries, for example. But
yeah,
then outside of that, I don't see people creating documentaries. But it's not that. But there's parts of the day where we have to go into documentary mode, right? And
absolutely
capture them authentically as they naturally happen. So it's, you said the best execution of those elements of the day.
Of those elements, that's right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So don't put your doc edits in, people. Which keep them at home,
please. I think we've hammered that point home about the time limit enough. But yes, that will be the last time I say it. It is not about a 15-minute film here. We will not be accepting those. Yeah.
Curation is key.
Curation.
The next category, best cinematography. That needs no explaining. No explaining at all. Best sound design needs no explaining. That's going to be really interesting.
Although sound design is, just to be clear as well, it's not just about sound effects, right? Some people have got this in that. It's there is so much more, and that's what we want to showcase. There is so much more to sound design, incorporating natural elements, natural audio that you've captured on the day, even down to the quality of the speeches you've captured and how well that is incorporated into the sound element. It's not just about having wishy, I don't know what they call those sound effects. I don't do sound effects, but do you see what I mean? It's not about having the multiply pack into there and just, there's a bit more to it. It's just about how well you incorporate sound within your wedding film to really elevate how it feels.
Best beyond the wedding film. What on earth is that?
I love this category, Roo. This is about incorporating footage that is not necessarily captured on the wedding day. So,
right.
Some wedding films incorporate proposal shoot. They incorporate or engagement footage. There's a whole story built around the couple that's not just with footage captured on the wedding day. That is the beyond the wedding film element. It is just about something that's not set for 12 hours, the amount of time we've had to shoot a wedding. It's about incorporating different elements of the story that you can grab from somewhere else. For example, I'm not suggesting that this is what people have to do. I'm here just giving examples of where I've seen it. Some filmmakers take videos of their couples on Facebook and Instagram and incorporate that into the wedding film. Or you might be doing interviews with the couple or their family or whatever. It's that is not captured on the wedding day. That would fit into that. Equally, it could also be that the story element of the film, it is way beyond the wedding film. If there's a story within it that's it's the best way to describe it, that's beyond the wedding. That's not just about because typically a wedding film is we know there's an element of prep, ceremony, drinks, dancing, right? this is about perhaps actually like it is about encapsulating a much bigger spectrum of like emotions than just those captured on the wedding day, essentially.
That has just finally clicked in my mind exactly what that is, and and it's funny because I'm literally thinking of filmmakers right now that I know should 100% submit to this category, because I was thinking the whole film has to be beyond the wedding film, but no, it's an element of the
Correct.
film can just be beyond the wedding film. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've again, I don't want to put pressure on people, so I'm not going to say the names, but there's a filmmaker that I know, and he created a film recently that I saw, and there's this whole second narrative, which is beyond the wedding film itself. It's framed within a wedding, but it's their kind of life, the couple's life beyond that wedding day, and that's a really interesting category to think, really. And but also having these categories out there at the start of wedding, before wedding season kicks off, it's going to be inspiring filmmakers to look, at creating films that can kind of fit into these categories as well, and looking at maybe films that they can push beyond the boundaries of a wedding day. And that's really exciting, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah, it is just, I guess, it's funny, isn't it, when, but I'm glad we're having this chat, because like some of these categories to us make so much sense, because it's called Best Beyond the Wedding, but I totally get why it might be confusing as well. But yeah, hopefully I've explained it well. It is about incorporating elements that are just not just about the wedding. We think outside the box, and the easiest way, or the easiest examples I've given are, like, as I said, like proposal, engagement, vow renewals, but there's so much more to it, hopefully, that people can showcase,
Yeah, totally get that. But I was thinking about it wrong. I was thinking that the whole film has to be basically not a wedding film. It has to be beyond, but elements of a wedding film that go beyond the wedding itself. Perfect. Now, this next category has got Jeff Wood written all over it. Best use of cinematic language.
How do you know, Ro? That is got Jeff.
That's his vibe, right?
I mean, Jeff is, yes, particularly passionate about this one. First one is, we've named this category after Alejandro Calore. I can't really say his name well, but I know you talked about him with James Tracy, in fact, on one of your older episodes.
Absolute master.
His work is just incredible. So the idea of this category really is, Jeff really wants to elevate the craft, and this category, hopefully allows us to do that. The idea is that we want people to think not just about like what they're showing visually of a wedding, but it's like how you're showing it. So the best use of cinematic language is about like crafting a visual story that uses different cinematic techniques. And it could be about pacing, and it could be about the cuts you're using, and it could be about a montage that you're using within your film. It is about constructing the story visually in a way that uses cinematic elements.
Right. So what are some cinematic elements, for example?
So it is about particular sequencing that you might be using in your edit, like a match, something like, we perhaps, a lot of us might do like a simple match cut, but you could push the cuts and the sequencing a lot further. You could do like particular montage, which is about using, if you think about shooting like separate details of the day in a sequence that then evoke or suggest a theme to the viewer. So it is just about thinking about, Jeff is really big on this. It's like on the day of the wedding, he thinks about his sequencing. He takes a shot because he knows he's going to use it in the edit in a particular way. He shoots a particular way so that the edit works in a certain way as well. There's a pattern to it. He will use a montage where you might see someone getting ready. A lot of us do it, in fact, and some of the work is inspired by what Jeff did when he mentored people. The way in which we have bride and groom getting ready, there's an element of like montage within this, which is cutting to the same thing happening for different people.
Yeah.
So it is about arranging like your film so that it is using cinematic language, so techniques that are not just about capturing and creating a film it's not, by the way, it doesn't need to be sequential or not. That's not what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to
No,
be.
that's just an element.
It's not about the
that can be
chronological
considered.
or no. It's just about the way in which it was shot and the way in which it's edited that uses cinematic language.
I think an example I'm probably thinking that's coming to my mind, I've seen some filmmakers kind of bring this into their work where the way they're shooting really it alters based on what part of the day is and what's happening. So, for example, bridal prep is quite steady and still because it's like a calm part of the day. And as the day goes on, as it gets a bit more frantic, the filmmaking itself gets a bit more frantic. They go from steady shots to kind of like more free moving, and that's kind of like that could be cinematic language as well, can't it? The
Absolutely.
way shooting in a style that represents what's on camera,
And it's also the edit, right? The pacing of the film is cinematic language based on the emotion you want to convey to the viewer. If the pacing of your clips is quite like sequentially super quick, you're kind of building momentum to something. If it is a lot slower, then you might evoke a different feeling, you know. So it's as I said, like, it's both the way in which you shot the wedding, but then certainly the edit as well.
Yeah, this totally feels like being back at uni with this category where you do your work and you have to break it down. You have to like say why the motivation behind every single shot, but that's kind of like how deep you want to go in.
There's an element of like it is intellectual and cerebral, but perhaps that is, you know, that's what cinema, I suppose, is, and that's what the language of cinema is. It is cerebral, and everything has got a purpose, and that's the way we want people to look at this category.
100%. And did you say is it in honor of Alejandro as well?
Correct. Yeah.
Because me and James were both talking about him when we did a podcast with him, how much we absolutely love his work. And then unfortunately, like a week after that, he passed away. So we've lost an incredible filmmaker. So is this kind of honoring his memory a little bit as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, because no one did cinematic language better than him. Nobody. No one will ever.
I think if people want to understand this category, like, watch one of his films.
Yeah, and they're hard to find.
Become clear.
They're hard to find.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. Go on the James Tracy podcast link, look in the descriptions, and we've got those films there. But yeah, so this next one, this is exciting to me. Innovation in wedding filmmaking. This could be anything, right?
This could be anything, and I love this category as well. We feel strongly about it. It could be a different style of films that you make, because there's so many different styles, but like, it could be the innovation element here is like, it is the style, is the approach. It could be actually the kit you use. It could be, I don't know. It's super open. It is super. And the way a lot of us on the panel look at it is that it is about like something that feels different. It is still within the context of like, we're still calling it a wedding film, but actually some people would watch it and be like, that's not a wedding film. But that's innovation right there. That's something that feels a bit provocative and that feels a little out there, and that's like groundbreaking. Just something that makes you think. It's like it's innovative in that way. You know, it's just not been done before, or it's being done completely differently.
What if though, right? Nobody enters a film that is innovative. What happens? Because like, I mean, I'm going to use me for example. I'm proud of the work that I make, but there's nothing innovative about it. And racking my brains about people like that, there isn't. It's just, no, it's nothing. And then, I mean, there's a couple of filmmakers I can think of that perhaps are, but surely not enough to enter a whole award, right? What do you think?
I disagree. Hopefully, by the way, you'll prove wrong and I'm prove right. I'd like to think.
Yeah, I hope so too. I do.
I hope so.
Be devil's advocate here.
But obviously, one of the elements that I don't know if we've discussed this yet, but that we've incorporated into the judging is that the panel have the ability to move films around. So whilst you might submit a film into a category, we want everyone to have the best chance to win. So we might move people around to a different category if we feel that actually, essentially it's almost like we're doing you a favor by moving you into a different category. You perhaps have either read the category wrong or submitted a film that you feel strongly fits that category, but no, we think it's that.
Yeah.
Some might be going into innovation because they don't think their work is innovative, but we do. So we might move them into that category.
Will the filmmaker know about that? Like,
yes.
Will they know they've been moved? But then is that then telling them they're not going to win the category? I don't know.
I suppose you're right, but it's also depends how you look at it, isn't it? It's also saying we want to give you a good chance of winning an award, we think it might be best to do it in that category. You know?
Right, okay.
I know there's a fine line.
What if they don't win that? If they don't win the one they got moved into, they'd be like, "Oh my god,
well, that's
put me back."
Yeah, again, one of the things that we won't know, until we do it.
Yeah.
But it comes from a good place. It is generally, no, we want people to do well. So if that means that we want to move you to different categories, then yeah, we feel that's the best way to do it. It could be wrong, but that's the way we've done it.
Yeah. Now, it makes sense to me. It's about when you've got so many categories like that, and people might not realize their skill in a certain area and realize how good they are comparatively. So getting them moved over, if it's based on giving them a better chance of winning, then yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
I'd keep it on the quiet though. I would. I think it would cause drama when you're telling people that they've been moved. But then it'd just be so fun on the day if someone that ends up winning like a random category that they didn't know they're in.
That'd be fun. Oh shit, I've just won an award.
Yeah, they thought they'd missed out, but no, I got it for this. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So where are we then? Innovation. Best storytelling. I mean, that makes sense. And it's fully enough, you'd think it'd be obvious, but I think this is a part that is massively overlooked in wedding films. We focus so much on the pretty pictures, but storytelling should be at the core of what we do. Yeah. And there's so many films that I've seen, especially when judging Twitter, where perhaps from a technical point of view, they were all over the place, but the storytelling was brilliant. And I could see past those kind of visual flaws, if that made sense, just because the story was so strong and I was so captivated by it. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what this brings up this category.
I agree with this, Ru. Yeah, I agree.
Well, there we go. Move on then.
Easy, yeah.
Done. Okay, so Joce agrees with that one.
I agree with that one, yeah.
Best social edit. Now, are we talking vertical films here? Are we seeing at a fancy pants award ceremony, we're going to have some vertical films on the screen?
It could be nine, but yeah, it could be 90. It could be one by one.
Yeah,
but yes, we are. So one of the elements of the festival is that it is open to content creators as well. And I'm not saying that a content creator will definitely win best social edit. That's not what I'm saying. But it is designed around the new medium in which we create. Yeah. We are still we are filmmakers, and a film has different format, and we have to recognize that. That's the world we live in. So yes, it is about a social edit, something that is designed for social media. So YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, it's the world we live in. It's the world we live in, and it's a very important part of our business now, creating these styles of film. So it makes sense that they should be kind of represented and celebrated as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not easy doing a good social edit.
If you've got 60 seconds to tell a story, hey, that's hard. That's hard in a format that you've not even shot in, because let's not forget that's not our native. That's not how we are wired as filmmakers. We shoot landscape, so it is really hard. And actually, I'm looking for someone that makes me reconsider, because I never do those social reels. I do a preview film in landscape format. I hate cropping my films. So I'm looking for someone to be like, in your face, Joce. That's how good it can look.
Yeah. And there are filmmakers that I know as well. Again, but I'm such a geek for wedding films, so I consume a lot of it. And there are people out there that absolutely kill it when it comes to social media edits. Yeah. And then I've seen their longer films, and then they're maybe not quite as good as a lot of other filmmakers that I know. But when it comes to the social edits, they absolutely crushing it. And then they're getting the bookings.
And I would imagine, again, this is not a tip. This is not like me, letting anything on. It's just about, I would imagine, I guess, that the social media would be something a little more upbeat, something that's quite snappy. You've got 60 seconds. You're not going to have a drone shot for 10 seconds. I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just imagining what would work for me. It's just about snappy content in 60 seconds. I'm like, I've just taken a slap to the face. I want to watch it again, But
it's being judged within the framework that it has to work well for social media, is what we're saying. Rather than it being the best film within 60 seconds, correct? It has to fit within that space of social.
Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Next one, best use of music. I mean, doesn't need much explaining, does it?
Yeah.
Or do you think it does?
No. Well, yes. Just because I love music, and particularly for wedding films, the original name for this award was Best Original Score.
Original score. Aren't
yeah,
you the only person out there doing that? Is
I
that
didn't
you
realise.
made an award for yourself?
Yeah, that's right. Well, obviously I can't enter, but that was the idea, yes, which was about not just using music bed. It's like creating a film from start to finish that you own, including the music. But obviously that's perhaps a step too far. So it is about best use of music, because the music plays such a huge part into telling a story of visually and emotionally of the day. It's like, how well do you incorporate it into the film?
Yeah. It's quite a straightforward one, but then it's not straightforward in how you implement that in your film, because a lot of us are just dropping in that track and just letting it play out, especially when it comes to, 7 minutes and less. It's quite often one track, right? But it's going to be interesting to see how people are playing with that. And hopefully, again, like these categories being out there is going to put that seed in people's minds to start thinking more creatively with kind of like the music, for example.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, you're right. Perhaps for filmmakers that do 7 minutes, I would imagine they might have 2 tracks.
Yeah.
So how well do you blend the two together? What are you trying to convey between the first and the second song? All of these things that if it's just a 4 to 5 minute wedding film, perhaps it's just one track. But even then, that's even more importantly, you've got one track to tell a story and to do the wedding justice. Like, what is the track? And by the way, it's not about like what's the best music, it's the best use of that music. How well does it align with the story, with the visual, with what you're trying to, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Because you're going to hear, there's going to be so many of the same music bed tracks that are in the entries. Yeah. That's what I also, we're all dipping from the same pool. But yeah, this one as well, this is interesting to me. Best use of color grading. Now, a lot of us are kind of putting the same kind of grade across the board. Are you looking for someone who is possibly their grade is changing based on the mood of the film, or what? What would you be looking for?
So I love colors in films, and it is just about it. I'm not looking for like a different grade from one film to the next. Like, say the same filmmaker submits 2 films and they're different. That's not what would do it for me. It is just about the mood that you're conveying through colors.
Right.
And there's a strong like artistic touch to this, I guess, and it's a subjective thing as well. Colors is super subjective, but it is literally just that. It's like what emotion are you trying to convey with the use of colors?
Yeah.
And again, you can imagine how that'd be. I would watch this film differently. We would watch the film differently than if we were listening to the music, because it's best use of music. It's like the colors. I would look at the color grading element of the film.
Yeah. So it's not who's got the best lot. It's who's using really their colours in the most creative way and emotive way.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to this one because actually there are so many different looks, not lots, but so many different looks in films. Like one that I particularly love at the moment, again, not tipping anyone or anything here, but there's a strong like retro vintage feel to some of the films with like the music that's like from the 50s, and it's like, yeah, that feels like emotionally you feel like invested with the colors. The colors draw you into the film because it's like, oh, I'm back into the 1950s here, somewhere in south of France or something, and they're having a cocktail by the pool, and it feels like very jazzy. And it's like, and that's the colors that do that, and that's best use of color grading.
100%. Mate, you're going to have to make sure that this screen on the awards night is nicely calibrated.
I don't think the best use of color grading is one of the films that's being shown.
Oh, fair enough. Put whatever you want up there, mate. Fair enough. Play it safe. Is the sound design one being played as well, or no?
I don't believe it is, no.
Oh, that's another get out of jail card then, isn't it?
Hey, there you go.
Best aerial
best
or drone
film.
Yeah. That would be innovative as well.
There you go.
Best aerial or drone footage. Now, it's not best use of. Is it literally just how does this one play out?
You're right. It could have been best use. It is like, we're not looking for a 5-minute collection of drone shots.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, it's really not that. I suppose it is a bit like the best documentary style we kind of talked about, which is like there are moments where you use a drone, and how creative do you make it? How consistent does it feel with the rest of the story? Not just like an intro shot of a venue panning around. Like that wouldn't be the best drone shot. It's like how creative can you be with your drone shot? Perhaps during portraits, that could be cool. Like so you've got the mountains and I don't know, or the beach, whatever, and the couple. So visually, like how can you make the drone look? So get to a place that you couldn't with your camera. That would be like a nice drone footage. And also to me personally, what I would look for is like how do you implement that within the flow of your film so that it's not just about here's just one drone shot at the beginning, now I'll move into the story. There's a lot more to drone shots perhaps than just like establishing shots. So how do you incorporate drone and a different perspective visually to your film, essentially?
Yeah. And so is there going to be like a limit to how much drone needs to be, a minimum requirement of how much drone needs to be in the film for it to be considered? Could it like just be one shot that's really sick? Or are you thinking a film has to have multiple good drone
I'll be honest,
shots?
I'm not sure, but I would hope it'd be more than one. If it's really like, I'm like, tell me more, I would probably reach out to that filmmaker and be like, send me the whole set of drone footage. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't know. We haven't thought about that yet, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Because it's going to be one of those ones, isn't it? Like everyone's got can have one good drone shot in a film, but to have multiple and, really going to town on it. And there's, again, don't want to put pressure on filmmakers, but there's certain ones that I know hire drone teams in just for their films.
Yeah. And I was going to say one that some people that might enter is like FPV shots, right? Like, have we got some really cool drone shots that feel a bit more immersive than just a bird's eye view? I don't know. Maybe that'd be cool. I'd love to watch that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. It's exciting, isn't it? The film, but I like that because these categories are there. It's actually going to be really interesting judging this, I reckon, because there's going to be such a variety of films going in rather than, in previous awards where it's you're watching the same stuff over and over again. To have categories that kind of are really celebrating and encouraging creativity is hopefully that's the entrants are going to, fall into that and everyone's going to level up to be able to enter these awards.
Yeah, and there are some categories that, again, perhaps next year might be different, or we might be adding some. I don't know. I think right now it just feels like they're the categories we'd love to see people submit. Really, yeah. But
you're looking to evolve with time as well as this whole process develops. This is the first year, But there's room to change things and tweak things, but as a starting point, this is what you want to see from the film industry.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's get on to that's a very in-depth look at all the categories. Let's go into the awards night itself. And now we've answered quite a few of these questions as we've gone through, really. But so it accumulates in this awards night, right? Yeah. How does that work? Do you have to buy a separate ticket for that, or when you enter a film, are you automatically got a ticket for that awards night?
No, you have to you have to buy a ticket for the actual event itself as well.
And how much is the ticket?
£150 per ticket.
To be able to win an award, do you have to be in attendance at the awards night?
No, you don't.
No,
because obviously we'd love it. Like if all of our winners were actually like there on site with us, that'd be cool. That'd be amazing. But no, having a ticket for the event or not doesn't mean anything. That, again, back to the judging process. That is the only thing we look at: the film. Anything else doesn't matter. Yeah, it really doesn't.
So you could. There is a possibility then that there's none of the winners there at all. They could all be
really
called out.
Really strong possibility because we're opening submissions on the 1st, but people can also buy a ticket for the event on the 1st. So I'd imagine that some people will buy tickets that might not even submit a film. So that I think that's more than a strong possibility. That's probably going to happen. But I'd love for all of our 20 categories to be given physically to someone. That'd be really cool for someone to physically have the awards and don't get me wrong, we would ship it. We will ship it if that happens. But what we're trying to do is to get everyone together, and it'd be really cool, for everyone to have their trophy on stage with us and enjoy it that way,
And almost the opposite to that as well. Are you able to attend if you haven't entered a film?
Yes.
Brilliant.
You are, yeah.
Yeah, because that's cool. Because there will be some people there that want the whole social aspect of it all, but don't necessarily want to put a film in. But I mean, I
Yeah, because
encourage
it
everyone
is
to
like
do
a
it. I
cinema
encourage everyone to
night.
put a film in. But
Yeah. It is like a cinema night with your mates, and but you're dressed nicely and you're on your best behavior. It is like it's still you're going out to have a really good time and watch some amazing films and connect with really really nice people. That's the vibe. So whether you've submitted a film or not, you're most welcome. Yeah, that doesn't matter.
one question I did forget to ask is there a time frame of where the films that you enter have to have been made within, or can you literally have a film from any point in your career and enter it into these awards?
Any film, any year. Like, it is just your best work. That's what we want. So if you feel your best film was shot 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or 6 months ago, does not matter. It is about your best work. The year it was shot or edited in does not matter.
Is that going to be the same going forwards, or will they, like, from next year, would it change?
Couldn't tell you. Only because we haven't made that decision yet. So yeah. I don't know yet.
Because I was just thinking this for the third year running, the same film wins wedding filmmaking wedding film of the year.
Yeah. It could be that next year we change it and it just becomes like your last 12 months. But for right now, it's just about, let's just see what people do. And it could be that it's a film from 2020. Actually, there was no weddings in 2020. From 2019. Or it could be from 2025. We don't know. But we love the idea that actually, like, because the awards submission, the entry opens the 1st of May, people have got a whole wedding season to think about all these categories and be like, I feel like this wedding, I can really like master this particular element and I will submit this wedding. So hopefully it pushes people to think about this season, but equally if they shot a wedding last year, 2 years ago, whenever, that they love and they think that's award worthy, then they can submit that too.
On the night itself, what's the schedule going to be? Is it an all-day thing or is it an evening thing? And what's the kind of timeline for it?
So the structure hasn't been set yet, but we know what elements will be happening. So we know that there'll be an element of networking and drinks. We'll be watching films together. You'll have time to connect with people. There'll be some entertainment. But the actual order and sequences of things is something we haven't fully discussed yet.
And is it just going to be in the evening or will it be the whole day?
It'll be late afternoon going into evening, yes. Yeah.
Nice. So some pre-drinks out with a nice meal and then straight into the Oscars for wedding filmmaking. Yes,
absolutely. Just don't get your white shirt dirty, Don't put ketchup on it.
How many Venoms can we fit in before the awards start?
I do not. He's mentioned Venoms twice on this pod. Oh,
exactly. Now, mate, thank you so much for sitting through my quizzing. You know what I'm like. I'm relentless with my questions, but thank you so much for putting up with me. I am delighted that you're doing this, that you're creating this for us as filmmakers. It's so needed. Awards have always been really good for me, and they've been a massive part of my business. But I do know that there is kind of like a level of toxicity that comes along with awards, and you see it every year with people that haven't won basically get very salty about it. But I really hope that, especially with the way that you put these awards together, people can see that you're only competing with, you should only really be competing with yourself. And you're structuring this festival. I mean, it's the clue's in the name. It's a celebration of all of us as who we are as filmmakers. So we can get together, we can celebrate the craft, and hopefully encourage a little bit, and encourage and motivate people to push themselves. And I really feel that that's the kind of vibe you're going for with this.
You're right, it absolutely is. And everything you've said, you've summarized it perfectly. Yes, it might be intimidating. I totally understand the feedback we've been getting so far. We've had amazing feedback, and we've got some feedback that's, I suppose more questions asking why things are done a particular way. It is, the opinion of the co-founders, and that's the way we wanted to design the awards. And it is about community. It is about celebrating the craft. And we've done it this way for year one. What's to say that next year won't change? I don't know. But for now, these are the parameters that we've set. We've got the dates, we've got the categories and the judges. And I suppose now it's up to the filmmakers to make it as good as it can be, because the success of the festival is only going to be as good as what films are put into it and the winners,
And it's something for us all to strive towards, isn't it? And just to improve ourselves. And like I say, don't look at it as you're competing against other people. You're competing about yourself and that constant kind of strive to improve. That's what we're looking at here. But thank you for all your time for putting into this. You, Pete, Laura, and Jeff. Thanks for everything you're doing for the community. So just before we leave, then, Joce, can you tell us the details then? When can people put their entries in? How much does it cost? When's the deadline? And when are the awards happening?
Submissions open 1st of May, 2025. £30 per entry, any film, any category. And they close on the 1st of December, 2025. And the festival is in Manchester on the 9th of Feb, 2026.
And what is the website that people can go to submit their films?
So it's BritishWeddingFilmFestival.com.
Brilliant. Mate, thank
Same on
you so
Instagram.
much. Thank you so much for taking my grilling. and I look forward to catching up with you in person again soon, mate.
Thank you so much, mate. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. To find out more about what we have to offer in terms of our conference and also our educational resources, visit coda-conference.com.